Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me for my review of the 2017 film Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Vicky Krieps, and Lesley Manville. And I was interested to see the Phantom Thread ever since I saw the trailer. I'm a big fan of Daniel Day-Lewis. I consider him one of the all-time great actors. I believe he's earned that title. And the whole movie just looked intriguing. Paul Thomas Anderson movies are always unique. Then the film was nominated for several Oscars, and I really wanted to see it even more. It kept getting my interest up more and more. So, did Phantom Thread live up to my expectation? The answer is yes, yes, and yes again. This movie exceeded my expectations for a lot. I would actually pretty much call this film a masterpiece, which those of you who watch my movie reviews know I don't just say that about any movie. It's very rare. This movie worked for me in every way possible, basically, and I highly recommend it. So this is basically just a romantic period piece, Phantom Thread. But the plot is a little more unique than that. Basically, there is a dressmaker who's pretty set in his ways until he meets a certain lady who kind of changes all that in her own unique way, and the plot kind of spirals out from there without giving anything else away. Like I said, although this is a period piece, it's very unpredictable. This movie definitely stays away from a lot of predictability and a lot of cliches. This movie went in a lot of directions I didn't expect. I would even call a couple scenes in this film twists, but they didn't feel like twists. They felt like they went naturally within the flow of the movie, which are the best kind of twists, in my opinion. You know, ones that feel very natural and don't feel forced. Now, this is a very deliberate film. Some might argue it's slow, but I would disagree. I think this is one of those movies that's interesting from beginning to end. And I think although maybe it is a little bit slower paced, that it has to be, because this movie is basically a character study. And I think that it's one of those movies that builds and builds, and to be effective, it has to be paced the way it is, so no issues there. Also, the acting is really great in this film. Daniel Day-Lewis is great as always. Lesley Manville is also excellent in a supporting role. But the real revelation for me was Vicky Krieps. She's pretty great in this movie, and it's a shame that she didn't get an Oscar nomination along with Daniel Day-Lewis and Lesley Manville, because in some ways I think her performance is even more of a standout, although all three are great, and I definitely look forward to seeing her, Vicky Krieps, in many more things in the future. She's outstanding in this movie. As far as technicals go, they're excellent, as they generally are in Paul Thomas Anderson films. His films are definitely unique, whatever you think about them. He has his own style. And, you know, he chooses to go for a lot of close-ups in this film, which doesn't always work for me, but I thought it worked very well in this movie. The costumes are nice, as you would expect in a movie called Phantom Thread. One thing I really loved about this film was the musical score by a composer named Johnny Greenwood, who I personally wasn't that familiar with. So I looked him up. The score almost feels like another character in this film, which is the highest compliment I could give it. It's really nice to listen to and fits each scene perfectly. So I thought that was great as well. This is also one of those movies that I could see some people having some issues with some of the twists and turns. You really have to buy into it. It totally worked for me. This is one of those movies that definitely makes you think even after the movie's over. I'm still thinking about this film, and in my opinion, it will go down as one of the more memorable films of 2017. Time will tell as always, but it will certainly be one of my favorites, if not my favorite. There's still some movies I need to see that might give it a run for its money. But out of films I've seen so far from 2017, Phantom Thread is the best, in my opinion. And as far as negatives for this film, none. I really have nothing bad to say about this movie. Everything worked for me. It has great acting, great directing, great writing. The technicals are great. I really enjoyed the musical score. And I just enjoyed Phantom Thread in general. Now, I will say, if you're someone who's not really into period pieces or doesn't like more deliberately paced movies, you may not enjoy Phantom Thread as much as I did. But like I said earlier, I considered this movie to pretty much be a masterpiece, and I'm going to give the Phantom Thread a 5 out of 5. I highly recommend this movie for fans of Paul Thomas Anderson, Daniel Day-Lewis, or just excellent period pieces in general. So 5 out of 5 for the Phantom Thread, and as always, thank you very much for watching.